According to a recent study which has been released by Barna, over 42% of pastors in the U.S. have seriously considered walking away from full-time ministry in the past year. Not because of theology, not because of sin, but because of burnout, betrayal, and toxic church culture. My name is Dr. Lance Flood, and I've served as a pastor. I've trained thousands of church leaders through our counseling institute. My doctoral dissertation focused on treating narcissism in couples. Yet none of that spared me from breaking. You see, there came a point when the wounds didn't come from the world, but from inside the church walls. I've experienced ministry wounds that cut far beneath the skin, and I know what it feels like to bleed out while leading. My circumstances were so toxic that following my departure just 1 year ago, I prayed for God to release me from ever shepherding another flock again. You see, at the time I was serving a small family church. You know the kind, where the word family means everything. Unless, of course, you're not considered to be a part of it. Perhaps you're even there now as you listen to this message. It was the sort of church where faded pew cushions and wood-paneled walls whispered of yesterday, where the sanctuary air carries that musty scent of age, mold, and pride that lingers like a stale memory. It was a place where time stood still just like the membership, where lineage singles heritage, not welcome, where connection is defined by bloodlines rather than belonging. In time, I eventually learned that with some churches, family isn't exactly an invitation. Instead, it's a gate, and not every shepherd is welcome past it. The manipulation, the gossip, the narcissism, the slander, it almost crushed my calling, and in the end, it did drive me from the pulpit. And that pain has birthed the book that I'm about to share with you now. You see, through that crucible, I also discovered a sobering truth. Even the most seasoned, discerning shepherds can easily find themselves systematically manipulated when they elect to lower their defenses in the name of grace and compassion. This project doesn't come from a place of theory, but experience. I've lived the confusion of questioning toxic behavior dressed in religious language and wondering if I was the one that was losing my grip. I wrote the book When Sheep Bite because even with all of my training, even knowing exactly what these behaviors look like in a clinical setting, I still got blindsided. Because in a church context, it often presents differently. The manipulation is veiled in scripture and the toxicity is wrapped in religious language, and shepherds find themselves trapped before they even realize what's happening. I wrote this book for every church leader who's ever been gaslit, gossiped about, and gut-punched, all by the very ones they're called to love. This book will walk you through the 4 cluster B personality disorders as they show up in ministry settings. How to recognize them when they're disguised as spiritual concern. How to protect your flock without losing your calling. How to set boundaries without being labeled divisive. If you're in that place right now, this timely resource can help you. You can find the Kindle version on Amazon, or you can order a signed physical copy at whensheepbite.com. By the way, every book we ship is personally prayed over before it leaves our hands, because your ministry is just that important. Pastor, you're not alone in this. You're not losing your mind, and you don't have to keep bleeding to stay faithful. Get your copy today to begin healing and become better equipped to protect what God has called you to shepherd. Because if one pastor is spared from what I endured, then none of it was in vain.